Measure Q. Okay. This is right. Okay, so I didn't actually finish the Measure Q presentation, but I will. But all the information that would be in the presentation that looks like all of these ones is in the presentation I am going to show you guys. So, which is better. And I'm very excited to show you. But basically, so I want to show you this slide though. So Lemon Grove school districts, so shall Lemon Grove school districts measure authorizing a $27 million in bonds with no tax rate increase be adopted. And so here's the ballot language. And then Cynthia might see a difference on here, and actually George might too. Because the wrong paragraph was pulled up by the superintendent when a specific council member for ballot language was pulled up when a specific council member was asking very attacking questions. But anyway, so this is what the ballot language actually is. So to improve local schools with funds that cannot be taken by the state and spent elsewhere, shall Lemon Grove school districts measure to replace roofs, upgrade STEAM classrooms, increase computer access, and replace portables with permanent classrooms be adopted, authorizing 27 million bonds with legal rates, levies at or below $30. It's actually says below, but I thought it was supposed to be at or below. Maybe I missed that, or maybe it's below. $30 per $100,000 of assessed valuation, and that's per year. Annual audits, independent oversight, state matching funds, and no tax rate increase. Excuse me. So that's one of the biggest things in the presentation I'm going to show, that I'm going to pull up now. We'll show you, and I think I have to pull it up. Let me see if I can. I don't know what you guys can see. So let me pull up this first, and I think I have to reshare to this screen. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. Hold on. This is the one I wanted. Hold on. Okay. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So, I was going through it. So I wonder if I can make this full screen. There we go. Okay. So this was presented to us last July, and this was not the first time we had seen it, but this was a version. This was the version that was made for initially for the city school district meeting. Let me see. Okay, there we go. So the bond priorities, a tax rate extension, and a vote early childhood education center and major deferred maintenance. So we have a snapshot of our district. We currently have 7 schools. With adding the early childhood, it will be 8. And we are currently in the design build process for the preschool that we're going to build, for the early childhood center we're going to build. We're expecting to, with the build completion of that school, have ability to have 3,400 students, and we do think that we will reach that cap. We'll have 520 employees. We currently have 5 schools, 1 middle school, and 1 academy that is preschool through 8th grade. I know this slide is kind of cut off, but hopefully you can kind of see this. The early childhood school is currently under construction. and it will be on Palm Street, right next to the old Palm campus, which until the summer was Liberty Charter School. Okay, so what does tax rate extension mean? It means that we actually have a really interesting opportunity with this bond, in that, so there's previous bonds that taxpayers are still paying off. That's this gray area. And whatever schedule they're on, around 2026, a lot of that obligation drops off. And so but all along the way, kind of as stuff drops off, these new obligations are kind of filling it in. So it doesn't make our taxes go down like what was the plan with the original bonds, but we're asking for this for very much needed deferred maintenance. And because of this opportunity, we're able to ask for this and tell you, hey, your taxes are not going to go up. And so with the issuance of the bond, the way that it works is you get it in different parts. And so for this one, we would have it broken into 3 different series. And you can see this in the chart on the right. And they would be broken into $9 million disbursements. So we did do a voter survey before we put this on the ballot, because if we were to find out that the community very largely does not support our schools and keeping them not even just up to date, but even in some cases just maintained, then it would not be money well spent to put it on the ballot. But 71% of those polled said that they would support the measure, and 13% said they were leaning towards it, but they needed more information. So we have a chance. So part of this process, and this is a whole process, there are other monies that we're talking about here, kind of alongside of it, is it's all kind of grouped together because they all are kind of depending on each other or involved in some way. Like with the Early Childhood Education Center, the idea of creating this new Early Childhood Education Center came about the state mandate for transitional kindergarten. And we were going to need a place to put these children, these new influx of children, and this is a little confusing, I think, for people who are not as familiar with this mandate of the full day TK, transitional kindergarten. But the original idea of transitional kindergarten was for the youngest kids in kindergarten. They weren't usually really quite ready for kindergarten, so they were put in, and that was just for like a 2-month period. And if I were born today, I'd fallen into that category because I'm a November birthday. But it goes from September 2nd to January. Oh, I thought it went to December. I think it did. I think we're in this first rollout of extending to January 2nd, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it always went to January 2nd, but I thought it was September 2nd to December 2nd. Maybe.
I thought it was December 2nd too.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. Okay, maybe with the initial, they just added 1 month to it. Or maybe that changed somewhere along the way and we just didn't realize, like maybe before we were board members, we didn't realize it. Anyways, okay, so for this school year, we are, oh no, yeah, okay, so I'm sorry. there really needs to be like little captions with this, I feel like. Okay, so this first column, 2022 to 23, we were expecting a total of 135 transitional kindergarten students, which are kids that fall between the September 2nd and January 2nd birthday. That's what the state is requiring us to take. So that is the additional 1 month that was added. By next year, the 23-24 school year, that's going to extend from September 2nd to March 2nd. And then for, and it's dependent, it's when you turn 5. So if you turn 5 in that period, those months, then you're in transitional kindergarten. So then in the 24-25 school year, it's going to be September 2nd to May 2nd. And so you can see the graphic here. It's the idea is showing like we're going to have to, like the one on the, that's how many we're going to have to eventually house. But you can see that number growing as the TK expansion is kind of implemented. And I've had people say, well, why don't we just take them all now? And in theory, that is an excellent idea. And I think every school district would if they could. But a lot of schools are capped or maxed out, or they have to figure out, it takes time to figure out how you're going to suddenly have these new bodies. And I don't want to like, they're not just bodies, they're students, they're pupils, they're inquisitive children learning. But for the sake of logic and making it easy, like there's a lot involved with adding, going from 100, and I don't know how many we had last year, but I would guess probably around 100 to 120. I'd have to look and find the numbers, but look at the growth from 2022 to 2025, 135 to 319, to suddenly go from 100 to now having 319. That's a lot of teachers. That's a lot of support staff, both in and out of the classroom. That's furniture, that's classrooms, that's there's all this stuff. And that's why the state transitioned into this process.
What are the ratios of students to teachers at this age level?
I think it's 2 adults, and you had to correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's 2 adults to 12 students. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's one of them is early childhood credentialed or certificated. Not certificated. It's like they have like an early childhood certificate, or they could actually have full early childhood education credential. And then the other one is usually some kind of paraprofessional, usually also with some early childhood units, but probably not always. It's not a requirement. So the benefits for our community is that eventually we're going to be able to provide full no cost care for up to 319 3 and 4-year-olds in Lemon Grove. We're going to have quality developmentally appropriate whole child development, social, emotional, foundational learning. Sorry. And wellness and families. We're going to be able to provide enrichment, art, music, dance, Spanish immersion options, there's a Spanish immersion option, and then science and technology. Those are all of the goals, like the capstone, like this is why we're doing it. And when you, okay, I'll say what I was going to say when we get to the slide after this one. So where's my little pointer? Can you see my mouse moving? Anybody? No? I don't know why the balloon.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it moving.
Yes.
Okay. So this area where it says area of site development, it's actually between where Liberty Charter School used to be, the Palm campus, the Palm Middle School campus, which is over here. This is the Palm Middle School campus. This up here is Palm Avenue. And these are houses, but behind it over here, this is actually Mount Vernon. I don't know where it cuts over. There might be some houses here too. This might be a flag lot, but this is Mount Vernon. I think I'm getting myself confused. I wish they showed Mount Vernon Street on here, or Avenue, whatever it is. But this is Mount Vernon over here. I can see the play structure. You can see it right here. Here are the swings. This is Mount Vernon right here. So it's kind of between Mount Vernon and the Palm Middle School campus. And so we want to build this early childhood center right here on this area that's mostly empty. We are going to reallocate some of the basketball courts from the other campus. And we're going to have to relocate some solar. And I don't remember what this is here, but that's going to be gone too. So this was how it was originally presented to us. We do have a tentative model to show you tonight though, or design. It's very much in it's an idea phase. But this was how it was originally presented. You can have like all these classrooms, you can have outdoor learning areas, you can have all kinds of different play areas that are geared towards different motor skills or sensory needs or developmental abilities. And then and the whole campus is just very much centered around whole child, the whole child with like play-based learning, like experiential learning, which is really how kids learn naturally. That was like the whole, this is what we originally saw when we were like talking about it and kind of moving forward. And this was just an idea that was brought to us, a very basic idea brought to us by consultants that helped us put this all together and figure out all of our overall costs moving forward on other deferred maintenance. So the estimated total project budget is actually $30 million, but the $27 million is not going to go towards that that budget. So it includes costs. So sorry, it's late. My brain has been working all day. Okay, so let me start this slide over. Looking at the project itself, the estimated budget is $30 million, and that's in our planning. That's what we budgeted for, was $30 million. It includes additional costs other than the hard construction, such as the design and the review fees, furniture, and other contingencies. And it includes a built-in 6% escalation to account for construction costs that might spike or be inflated due to the significant inflation we're seeing both before and since the Ukraine war. So in addition to having the need to house a whole bunch of students, we also have quite a significant amount of major deferred maintenance. And this was the biggest reason we went towards a consultant when we were talking about this, because the way that the funding works so the state releases money that we can apply for, and the way that it works is the amount of money you can apply for is attached to certain schools, but it goes into your general facilities fund or into the general maintenance fund. That might not be right. But it goes into specifically for improvements, but it doesn't necessarily have to be spent on that school, if that makes sense, hopefully. So they went through with us to every single site and we looked at all of the short-term needs and long-term needs that will need to be taken care of in the future. And just in the short term, our current needs exceed $50 million. And that is for things like roofs. Almost all of our schools very much need roof replacement. And sorry, hold on one second. Sorry about that. Go talk to. Okay, so the roofs are a big deal. There's a whole lot of other things that are fairly big deal, but that's the one that's easiest to paint the picture because sorry, I'm sorry. So there's a school campus in the Grossmont Union High School District called Chaparral. And a few years ago, they had their entire roof cave in during an El Nino storm. And it was because of deferred maintenance that wasn't taken care of. And teachers lost thousands of dollars worth of curriculum and supplies. The school, anything that was in the building and owned by the district, it would have been covered probably by insurance, but there are major deferred maintenance things that need to be taken care of and really can't wait. So what we've done is the our consultants helped us prioritize the stuff that needs to be done immediately, stuff that can wait a few years, and then things that can wait more years and even further out than that. So then we had to look at facility need versus available funding. So there is a process of prioritization to identify the most critical needs. And we're working right now to fully leverage all state funding opportunities. And at the moment, we might get the biggest, we don't know if we've got it, so I don't want to say too much about it, but we're trying to get basically the most amount of funding than what they've given any other district of our size, basically. And they might do it. So we're developing a strategy to maximize local funding sources. It is very common for the district to have a facility need that exceeds the available funds. So I don't know why that leaves it like there should be something there. I think they took something out, but we are applying for state matching funds. And because we are a district of hardship, and because of the socioeconomic status of our community as a whole, we are a higher priority than a lot of districts. And because we are using these consultants, they're able to use their special expertise and kind of be on it and make sure everything goes through and is done without hiccups. Because otherwise districts like San Diego Union, and there's nothing against them, but they're bigger, they have a lot more funding, and they're able to staff people specifically to do this type of job. And so bigger districts like San Francisco Unified, Oakland, LA, San Diego, they would get all the funding if they didn't have a process for prioritizing districts with the most critical needs. So we are utilizing that process. And so now I do want to, so thank you for listening. I do want to show you at our last board meeting, we had, I think to, let me see. It's okay, I'm pulling it up. What do you need?
I have my water bottle.
Your water bottle's not here. Do you want my water bottle?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I gotta find it. This is, I don't understand how their presentation works, but I can't like open it ahead of time. So let me find it. I think I just stopped sharing my screen. Where did it go? I was trying to have everything open and ready, but this one is weird. It like opens and auto plays. So let me pause it and let me reshare. Well, darn it. Maybe. Can I? There we go. Let me screen share. That was weird. Okay.
My
So
daddy does.
thank you. So at our last meeting, we
My Yaya does Oreo.
go ask Daddy. Go. Sorry, guys. Okay, so this is the presentation. At our last meeting, we approved to move forward with the design build team of Core and PBK. It's an architectural firm and a construction firm, basically. And so they have this like little fly through kind of thing. This is just a concept, just an idea. At this stage, we saw many designs, and there's a lot of really great things that I would like to see implemented from all the designs. So this is, I want to be very clear that this is not exactly what the end product will look like, but it can give you an idea of just kind of like how amazing this could be for our students. And the fence would actually be higher, but in the rendering, they put it, so you can see it higher here. They put it lower so it's easier to see through. Oh no, actually those were the internal fences. Never mind. That was a question that came up on something else. So in this, we're like imagining very flexible learning spaces, a lot of green areas. I'm hoping for a lot of trees. Other people who are hoping for shade structures. I don't know who will win, but I'm very much hoping for trees and green spaces, because that'll help us combat the warming of our community. And so this is the idea of the library. So it has potential to just be amazing, really. I mean, I'm really excited about it. Okay, we can come back to this if anybody wants to see it again.
So to help with your tree argument, there are studies out there that show green spaces have a positive correlation with test scores and learning ability for children.
I know. And they also, I love that you know that, and you're not even in education. It's because you're in architecture.
Yeah.
So green spaces are a big deal. And we're actually, we have a project over at San Miguel that is in the planning phases where that will we're adding a lot, we're trying to add a lot of green spaces to that. You don't care about this. You guys don't care about it. These are the people we're working with, and this was being presented to the board. I can't delete their irrelevant slides. So Judy doesn't care about all this. I mean, some people might, but I think this is such a long meeting. So this is kind of the process. So it starts out like this is where we were right now at the meeting, and these are months. Okay. I was like, is that October 1st? No, they're months. Okay, so we have this first step, it was a months long process that concluded at this point. So the next okay, go do it. I'm sorry, hold on.
It's just looking at this
Yes,
chart
sorry,
here.
it's the timeline. Yeah, it's the timeline of the project. And we are actually expecting to house students by the beginning of the 24-25 school year, which is very soon. And we are using modular buildings. I had a lot of reservations about that to start, but they actually look pretty nice. There's obviously benefits to stick built, but I don't think most people are even gonna be able to know the difference. Seth probably will be able to tell the difference because he's in architecture. But the only way we were gonna get it done in time to house the number of students we need to house was to use modular. And there's also another factor that played into the timeline is that with preschool and TK populations, there's a lot of requirements that people don't realize you have to have. Like, you have to have a certain number of square footage in each classroom. You have to have a connected bathroom. And as it was just preparing for this school year, because our TK is now over at the Palm campus, we had to retrofit all of the bathrooms on site with their size bathroom equipment. Like, they're like little tiny toilets now instead of middle school size toilets, regular adult size toilets. There's a lot of things that we're required to do. And so if we aren't able to house them by the 2024 school year, we will have to do a lot more to that campus when we actually have other hopes for it in the future. And so it was really important that we're able to meet the timeline, which is why we chose modular buildings. But as you could see in the you probably didn't even know, Seth probably did, but the rest of you probably didn't even know that they were going to be modular when we were looking at the fly through. Okay, so the designing process is actually a really long process. That's actually the longest process. We won't even be breaking ground. Excuse me, I'm sorry. That's not even in here. This is only the design process. So, and the reason it's a long process is because we have to submit plans and have them approved by the California Department of Education and DSA. And Seth, remind me what DSA stands for.
Oh, DSA, I'm not familiar with. Department of Education, I knew.
Yeah, it's the CDE for the California Department of Education. Let me find it. You don't remember what it stands for, do you? Yahida, sorry.
Nope, sorry.
Oh, Division of the State Architect?
Yes, that right
yeah.
there. I found right at the same time you did, Division of State Architects. So everything has to be approved through the Division of State Architects for like public buildings, publicly funded buildings. But because we are receiving California state funds on this, we also have to have it approved through the California Department of Education. if we were an independently wealthy area, we would be able to forego that process, but we're not, and so we can't.
There's also a whole host of additional design considerations just because education's a type E occupancy, and that's just a lot of requirements on top of what normally would be
There
there.
is. And that was what was coming up when we were deciding on who to go with. There are parking requirements. You have to have enough parking. There are fire lane requirements, where there has to be access to basically every part of the school by fire truck, some way or another. So you have to get the fire trucks into the campus pretty far, which means that that has to be taken into consideration when you're planning. So okay, so this is, so the people we chose, they're gonna be giving talks in the community and involving the community as we move along in this process. I keep trying to turn the page like I was before. So this is just an idea of what they might send out to the local community. I can't even read what the top of that says because this is in front of it. What does that top thing say? FDK process, PDK,
Yes.
PPK. So this is basically bringing the public into it, getting their ideas, sharing our ideas, giving the purpose. It's keeping the public educated on what's happening. And I don't know what. How did you remember this page? I'm sure it was in it.
Yeah, he was talking about how in their firm they have people whose only sole job is to make sure that we cover all these areas. So they have somebody that looked at all the studies, kind of like what Seth was talking about earlier, and they're well versed, and they're gonna make sure that we get like the best for our students.
Okay, good. I'm glad you remember. Process design kit. That's what it stands for. Okay, I always use these acronyms, and I know I do it too in spaces I'm in, but I'm not in architecture, so I forget what they stand for. Okay, so wonderful. I'm gonna let what you had to say be what we said on that one. And then here's kind of an extension, like just showing like what different green spaces might look like a nice like a nice garden in the corner. I know they're kind of old school, but I really like these old style wooden structures with things as opposed to like the plastic ones. I know wood can give you splinters, but not if they're maintained well, and the plastic gets so hot for the kids. I definitely like regular grass, not the plastic grass, which is another thing that we're not, oops, what did I do? Not all in agreement on. But we'll get there. We'll find a good place. So it's just kind of going over more of the ideas. So they were talking about like all these different playgrounds we could have, and again, just a concept. We could have like the rainbow playground that really celebrates diversity. The unicorn playground, I think they were talking about being specifically for excuse me, children with disabilities and like celebrating their uniqueness. The nature playground, just very green and lush. So that's the idea. That was like the idea with the different playgrounds, is to have different types of spaces to really garner that imaginative and exploratory learning that kids of this age just thrive in. Which I think we all very much, I think we all really loved that idea. And so, again, just more ideas. Oh, look, okay, so here they're telling us about the playground. So the Unicorn Playground uses free form play to allow children to invent their own games and structures. Items as simple as large sticks and blocks are used to stimulate the imagination. I have a little bit of with sticks, but I guess if we're supervising them, which we should be, it'll probably be okay. I'm looking in this middle one. It almost looks like, were they called Tinker Toys or Connects? The wood ones where you like put the little pole like around the circles, and then yeah, I'll have to. That's what that looks like to me. And so then here they're talking about the nature playground, having water play. I mean, like the idea of like having them like walking kind of on this log. I do like that they flattened it out because I don't think that size child is balanced enough to walk on a round log. Always. So a lot of green spaces and like, yeah, nature focused. And then the Infinity Playground utilizes inclusive play elements and provides ADA accessibility. I do like this built-in feature, the little circle here. It's very cool. Oh, look at this on the right. This little guy that's using a wheelchair, he's able to play along with the other kids on whatever that game is. That's cool. I've seen this merry-go-round right here, this green one in the bottom left. I've seen that at a lot of parks. It is a way that kids who are not able to walk or hold on, like they don't have that core strength, they can participate in like the merry-go-round without flying off the side. So those are just some ideas. And I actually think that was the end. I think they went back to the overview of the whole thing. They put the solar in the parking lot. For me, my personal preference would be to put the solar on the roofs and put trees in the parking lot, because I think that would provide the benefit to our community to combat the urban heat. But I'm certainly open to research on that. So that I think is pretty much it. We kind of go through some pictures that were in the fly through. I really felt like this presentation that we were given is really good sales point, because like this is what our kids could have. Well, this right here, this is the inside of the multi-purpose room. And so this is specifically really cool because in the multi-purpose room, they were talking about being the only stick-built building. All of the classrooms were going to be modular. But in the multi-purpose room, if you move all the tables out, it's also like you can see like on a rainy day, like you can set it up for the kids to run or ride around this little green track. And I actually don't remember what this brown circle was. Maybe dodgeball, I don't know. But the idea was that it would be indoor play space too for those times when it's not appropriate to play outside because it's either too hot or it's raining, or with global warming, who knows, maybe it'll snow. And then we're back to the fly through. So I absolutely would love to entertain any questions or comments. We don't have any opposition. We don't have anybody who's publicly opposed us except for the Republican Party. The tax measure is endorsed by the Democratic Party, and it is also endorsed by the San Diego Taxpayers Association, as well as myself as a trustee, Cheryl Robertson. I didn't introduce myself before any of this, so this is Cheryl Robertson, trustee. And then Ms. Preciado, who is also on this meeting, she has endorsed the measure, and so has Dorinda Miller, who is filed to be the next on the school board, and there were no opponents, so she's not actually having to campaign, but I very much support her, and she supports us, and she loves this measure as well. She endorsed it as well. I did reach out to the others, but did not hear back from them on whether or not they would be okay with me publicly saying that they officially endorse it. So I wouldn't want to say that. They did all vote to put it on the ballot. So I would hope they supported it at that level, but I can't say that for sure. The there was something else I was going to say. So there's no opposition. We kind of went through all the supporting and what it means.
I think it's awesome. The only question I have is on the school itself. And that is, and it's nothing with the design, but who do you have someone that's specifically helping you, like liaison between the early childhood education processes and the design? Like a, does that make sense?
We have a committee.
Okay.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but like, do you have someone who's like an expert in like large early childhood education facilities and design? Because you know what I'm saying? Because when you have that many 3 and 4 in one place, it brings its own set of.
So that's actually a really good point, because that's an excellent point, and I should address that. So the way that we chose the team we went with is people who have followed along in all of our meetings, they may know this, they may remember this, or maybe it happened late and they were like, I'm over this meeting, and they dropped off. I don't know. So what we did is, so we are actually the only school district in the state that is doing a project like this. So we're going to actually be a case study for the California Department of Education on the possibilities of explicit early childhood education centers, which I'm very excited about that opportunity, because I know they can be incredibly beneficial to the growth and development of our youth. Research has proven that. But not every school district has the land to build the site, or they have other sites they may need to build, like maybe they need another high school. Like there's always some competing priority. It's hard. So however everybody else decided to work this out, we are the only ones doing this. And so that's part of why we might get as much funding as we're hoping to get.
You're creating a very unique environment.
Yes. So then, and it's also created a really cool opportunity where people were going to want to be part of this project. And so what we did is we held an information session for architects and builders, and we told them, this is what we're looking for, this is our budget, like these are the rules. Submit whatever proposal, and then I don't know what it was called, but whatever it was, we picked.
It's request for proposals is what you did.
Was it the request for proposals? I was thinking of something different.
Well, that's usually
yeah, you're right. You're right. It would have been the request for the proposal, because then because I think we were asking for the statement of qualifications, maybe something like that.
Oh,
I
Because
so
think there were
before
two,
that,
yeah, I think there were 2 rounds of
there were 2 rounds.
review. Yeah.
Yeah, so the first one, we were basically asking teams to team up, pick who you want to work with. And the reason we chose this process is because it really, we gave them a lot of leeway in their design, in what they could do, because we don't want to limit it. Like, this is such a unique project. Bring your expertise as architects. Like, it really opened the door to creativity. That was like the whole exciting piece of it, is how can we create an environment where they can just be so incredibly creative, and we can get the absolute best possible school to meet these kids' needs. And so the first round, they paired up, they submitted their qualifications, and from that, we picked 4 teams that we thought were the most qualified, and then did a request for proposal. And we paid them for their work so that we would have rights to their ideas if we didn't pick them. And so, because at the end of the day, we could only pick one, and we knew we were probably going to like ideas that all of them had. In the end, one team dropped out. They said, we're not going to be able to do this project. We have too much other work. So I'm glad they didn't waste our time any further. I personally wish they would have decided that before, and we could have given another team an opportunity to present a design. But I think we have a lot of really great ideas to work from. And so like what you saw, that's not the final design, but I'm very excited about it as a starting place. And yeah, I mean, and so now as a district, we have a committee that's going to be working with the design team. It includes our early childhood department, the principal, and they actually have specialists. Like, they've done this before because they're very experienced. They only design, I think they only design or primarily design schools. So this isn't their first rodeo with early childhood. It's just likely the first exclusively early childhood campus.
that was the point that I was going to bring up, was the field of architecture tends to specialize. So people who do education, or firms who do education, or teams who do education, often only do that. And it's such a why it's there's so much to know about all these different things that you can do, that to really know a lot about it, you have to do just the one thing.
It's like legal.
Yeah.
Like specialties.
And some firms will have many teams, and the firms will do everything, but they have a team for each kind of thing they do.
Yeah. So we're working with people who we've worked with them before, and but they do specialize in K-12 education, and they're we've seen a lot of their not a lot of, several of their other projects, and they are good. So I have a lot of excitement and hope and joy, and also anxiety and fear, because what if it's not exactly what we want? But that comes with everything in life.
Yeah, the thing that's going to make or break the project at the end is the quality of the teachers inside the space. And so if you give them halfway decent spaces, which is, it sounds like you're gonna give them way more than that, they're going to create great learning opportunities inside that space. I mean, you've seen teachers do amazing things inside of barely 4 walls. And so, if you give them better than that, they're going to be thrilled to death.
So yeah, I'm really excited for where the project is. My one question was going to be, is it too late to endorse it? But so you're in the programming phase based off of that schedule that was laid out, that timeline, which I
I don't
think
think we
is
can actually officially start the process until after the bond hopefully passes. So I think we have it scheduled to start in December. And the only reason is because if for some reason it doesn't, we would have to rework all of our planning.
well, and
It would
actually
put us
I was
behind for sure.
I was bringing up that you're in programming, which I think is a benefit at this point, because programming is code research. It's identifying the specific needs of the people who are going to be using the campus and the buildings. And so you're in a great resource gathering and fact finding position to, I think it'd be great to say, these are the teachers who are looking to transfer into using this. How would you use this space? And get that conversation happening. Because if people are familiar with how the space is going to be used, and which the architect is paid to do that, that's what they think about. How do you use the space? But if you have some teachers who are saying, I'm going to use the space in this way, and I would really love to have this, that information is invaluable to this part of the process, the programming phase.
And that is one of the reasons we picked the team that we picked, is because of like as part of the contract, they have like built in like stakeholder engagement planning. So that's exactly one of the things that will be done. So they want to involve the community in the planning process. They want to involve the teachers who are going to be teaching there. They want to involve the families who are going to have students go there. My Dylan will be in the first year there. So that's really exciting for me. Like, that's so cool. I get to be part of this project, and he's going to be in the first class. That was just by chance too.
I know, but that's really nice, because sometimes you get involved in things like this and your kid like undershoots it or overshoots it. And that's nice that you're in the sweet spot.
Yeah, total chance. But I'm really excited. I'm very excited about this project. The bond is necessary mostly to cover a lot of the deferred maintenance. There are other funds we're applying for. But both are necessary. If we don't do this preschool, what we're going to have to do is undo a lot of the stuff that we've done in our school sites that the community has explicitly asked for. Like all of our school sites now, they have parent rooms, we have sensory rooms, we have food pantry and clothing available at every site. Like, but all of these things, they do take up space. And so if this doesn't go through, and these are things that specifically were done to meet the needs of our community, some of them because we saw the need, some of them like with the food pantry and the clothing availability, but some of them explicitly at the request of members of the community. I wish there was a space on campus where I could come and somebody could walk me through how to do this paperwork for the school, or where I could come and learn how to help my kid better with homework, or I could come and like have a place to be while I'm volunteering in my son's classroom or daughter's classroom, but not actually but taking a break, you know what I mean? Like taking kind of like a teacher's lounge, but teachers don't want parents in their lounge. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
That's not because we don't like parents or the relationship, but that's our
They
state.
have to have a place, they have to have a place to be utterly relaxed, and that
Yeah,
would not be it if
exactly.
there was a parent there.
Yeah, and so like, if we don't pass this, we won't be able to build the school, which I think is an amazing opportunity for our community in general. But it will also mean that we will have to undo all those other things just to make space for the students at our current sites. And we would still have a significant bill. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I remember it was going to cost as much or almost as much to, maybe more, to retrofit all the classrooms to meet the guidelines. Then like, it made more sense to build the new school.